So we saw how the function works, how the uh, input values are passed from the action to the function, and how the return value works. Now we have the function in our action itself, but we can also save the function explicitly. Now we can call the function from the existing action, but we can save this function explicitly. So let's see how we can do that. So I'll just comment this line and I'll show you a simple example of adding two numbers. Okay, so I have a function which takes the two values and it just sums them up and returns the summation. So suppose we are passing the values 5 and 6. The addition of the two numbers is 11 and the value return 11 is returned by the function. So let's see how we can do this by saving the function explicitly instead of using the function instead of keeping the function inside the action itself. So let's say I'm calling a function, call fn. Since it is adding two numbers, I'll go fn addition, okay, and it is passing two values, say 3, 5, and this function what it will do is it will add the values 3 and 5, and let's say instead of just calling it, I'll take the return value of the summation. So in sum equal to, so I'll take the return value 8 in this variable in sum. Now the function, this action 1 calls function fn addition, but this time we won't be writing the function inside the action, but instead we'll save it explicitly. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to go to settings, file, settings, and here you'll see resources. Now just remember guys that a function is a resource to our script, and that's how you can remember that when you go to file settings, there's a resources tab which is having the resources of your script, and one of the resources your function. Now if you see that func.vbs, there are two existing functions. These were created by me earlier, so we have our own new function which we can save it over here. Okay, so what it does is associated function library shows the functions which are available with my script. Okay, these functions I can associate with my action and I can use it. These files are saved explicitly. Okay, these are saved in your local file system and they're not, you can call them from your and it is machine specific. That is, suppose some other machine doesn't have these functions explicitly saved in their local desk, in their local file system, then the function call will fail. Okay, so I'll show you how the VBS file works. Before that, we'll go to file, then go to file, new, and there's the option called function library. Okay, click on that. You can see a library file opened. Here you can type your function. So suppose what I'm doing is I'm just the same way, whatever you have typed in your action, you can type it over here. Okay, so my function is adding the two numbers, and I'm passing this in int num1, say, an int num2. These are the two numbers which are passed, 3 and 5 in our case. Okay, so what I have to simply do is I'll give fn addition equal to summation of these two numbers. So this is a very simple function. There can be a large number of transactions which you might be need to show in your function, but for just for the example, I'm showing the simple summation of two numbers, the numbers which are passed through the action. Saving the summation of two numbers in fn addition. So since it is the name of the function, the summation will be returned back to the function. Now what I have to do is I'm done with this, so I'll save it. So just click on this and right click on library 2. I can save this file. Okay. Now as I said, this is saved in your local file system. So wherever your files are saved, you can save it over here. In my case, it is saved over here, so I can in this folder, in QTP folder. So I can save it over here. I can give some name since this function what this function is doing is addition. So I can just give the same name as the name of the function, and I'll save it. Now remember, if you see the extension to this file is QFL, and it is saved in your local file system. Okay, now this file is saved. Now let's see what happens when I call this action, when I run this action. Okay, before that, the whatever value is returned from the function, I need to display it in int sum. Okay, so message box int sum. You can also use reporter.report event, which I showed you just some time back. Okay, before running the function, one important step you have to do is what I did is I created the function, but I always when I create the function explicitly, I can close this since it's saved in my local system. So whenever I create the file, the function explicitly, I need to associate it with my action, with my calling action. Now this is my calling action. It is calling action fn addition. Sorry, it is calling function fn addition. So I need to add the function to the function library of this action. Okay, so how will I do this? So firstly, what I did is I went to file new, I went to function library and created my own function. Okay, that is done. But now I have to associate this function with the calling action. So for that I have to go to settings, and there's a resources tab. Now these two resources are already associated with my action, but I don't need this, right? These functions I don't need. I'll show you what is VBS as well. .VBS extension, the one which we created at .QFL extension. So when I click on this plus button, I can associate my function with the calling action. Okay, so whichever action you're in, just go to file, then your settings, then you can associate. Okay, so this is the path, local path where I saved my function, and it has .QFL extension. Okay, so fn addition is my function. I click on OK. Yes. So as you can see, now my function is associated. Okay, I'll also show you what happens when it is not associated. Okay, I click on apply. Okay, now when I run this, as you can see, my script has nothing but the function call. Okay, that is the only thing that my script has. Still my script will return the value of the summation of 3 and 5 by executing this function, since this function is now associated with my action. Okay, so as you can see, 8 is displayed. That is the summation of 3 and 5. Okay, now in my test result summary, if you see, passed 0, failed 0, and warning 0, everything is 0 because we have not used a reporter event, right? So nothing is reported over here, but we have just displayed it on message box, whatever the result is. Now why we need to associate the function is, function library only helps us to create a new function. Okay, we go to file, new, and library, and we created the new function, but this new function needs to be associated with the file, with our action, calling action. Okay, so what happens when the function is not associated? Okay, I'm just removing the association of the action with the file with my script, and when I run it, it will say it will throw a runtime error, that is type mismatch, since it couldn't find the function. Okay, that's why association is very important. Now this was about writing the function in our QTP and then saving it explicitly using .qfl extension.